Meanwhile, operatives of the Nigeria police in Imo State have neutralized 4 hoodlums who were members of a group which came in large numbers with various calibers of improvised explosive devices to set Omuma police station on fire in the early hours of Sunday. A statement by the Imo Police Public Relations Officer, Michael Abatam, he stated that the gunmen had been shooting sporadically but were swiftly repelled by the command's tactical teams and operatives of the DSS who responded immediately. He added that other members of the group scampered into the bush, with a number of them sustaining various degrees of bullet wounds. None of the joint security operatives were said to be hurt in the incident. Mr. Abatam says that 5 undetonated IEDs of different capacities were recovered from the neutralized bandits, and the bomb unit of the command has taken custody of the bombs for detonation. The police PRO also stated that the command's tactical teams are conducting a search of the bush to arrest the fleeing hoodlums. In other reports now, the federal government says it has taken several steps towards the restoration of normal supply of electricity nationwide. In a statement signed by the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliu, the government says it has made some progress to address the recent challenges. The statement noted as well that the gas pipeline affected by acts of vandalism has been restored, and the Okpai power plant has resumed generation and is currently contributing an average of 300 megawatts. The Minister of Power also stated that the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC has been directed to negotiate with the NAOC on an interim energy sales agreement to bring the new Okpai 2 power plant on the grid, contributing additional 400 megawatts of generation capacity. The statement mentioned that what it called the pigging of the gas pipeline supplying gas to the Odukbani power plant to be completed in few days will ramp up generation by about 400 megawatts. The national grid suffered shutdowns of at least twice in the past week, leading to blackouts across the country amid rising prices of fuel products. Politics now. Sokoto State Governor and the presidential aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, Aminu Tambuwal, has visited PDP stakeholders in Kaduna State over his desire to become president in 2023. He noted that his ambition is aimed at rebuilding the country. The Sokoto governor added that having worked in the judiciary as well as the legislative and executive arms of government, he possesses all the qualities to provide good governance if elected.
Someone that can unify this country, someone that is pan-Nigerian, someone that understands the dynamics of governance and modern-day governance of 21st century. When you talk about democracy, someone possibly that has democratic governance experience in terms of either being in the executive arm of government or in the legislative arm of government. And when you talk about governance and governing a country like Nigeria, you must not relegate the judiciary.
Let's move on to other reports now. This time, the Federal High Court sitting in Umuahia, Abia State, has ordered the Attorney General of the Federation to immediately delete Section 84, subsection 12 of the amended Electoral Act. Justice Evelyn Ayadike on Friday held that the section was unconstitutional, invalid, illegal, null, void, and of no effect whatsoever, and cannot stand as it is in violation of the clear provisions of the Constitution. Well, that controversial section says that no political appointee at any level shall be voting or shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. Let's get more reactions on this latest development. Joining me now to speak on this is Senator representing Edo South Senatorial District, Senator Matthew Umogide. Thank you for joining us at this time. And the report goes on to say that the AGF, Abubakar Malami, has said that this provision will be removed from the Electoral Act. According to him, it's now with the printers to do the needful in accordance with this latest court order. What do you make of this? Hello, Senator. We'll try to reconnect with our guest to get more feelers on this developing story. In the meantime, let's tell you, I'll move to Ogun State now, where stakeholders there under Yewa North local government have unanimously endorsed the state governor, Dakpo Abiodun, for the second term in office. And this, they say, is based on his achievements in the last 3 years. They have also appealed to the State Senate Committee on Finance, the current senator representing Lagos West at the Senate, to come and represent them in Ogun West. TVC News' Kazim Olowe has more.
It was a carnival-like atmosphere at Ayetoro, the administrative headquarters of Yewa North local government in Ogun State. Politicians, artisans, traders, women group and different associations converged on Unity Primary School Ayetoro to discuss the state of things in the state and the senatorial district and to decide where to go in 2023. One after another, they expressed their minds about different achievements of the current administration in the state and agreed to support the governor for another term in office.
Without doubt, the governor of Ogun State, Prince Dakpo Abiodun MFR, has performed very well in bringing governance closer to the people through people-centered projects that are conceived and implemented in a bottom-up approach. I am satisfied that he has done better than many previous governments in the state.
Yewa North and indeed Ogun West has fared better under Prince Dakpo Abiodun than most previous administrations.
They singled out the senator representing Lagos West, Solomon Adeola, popularly known as Yayi, as their preferred candidate for the Ogun West senatorial district.
Senator Olamilekan Adeola, popularly called Yayi, is not currently carrying our mandate in Yewa North. Despite that, his positive impacts in our local government are unmistakable. Empowerment programs for women and youth, scholarship to indigent students, and support to many CDAs and town associations. Yayi has indeed extended hands-on fellowship to us.
We've seen what he could do. He performed excellently well. And so we now say, oh, if our son could do that for them in Lagos, it's high time we call him back home.
Despite the fact that he's representing Lagos West, he has been doing more than those representing us in Ogun State at present.
The pledge to mobilize massively in support of the two of them and ensure that they get to office in 2023 in order to enjoy more inclusive governance and quality representation at the Senate. Kazim Olowe, TVC News, Ayetoro.
Thanks a lot for staying with us on TVC News. Now we head to Abuja, where students have expressed displeasure at the constant strikes undertaken by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. With yet another industrial action currently on, some of the students have thought up diverse ways to get busy while they wait to return to school. Helen Osamide Akins reports.
The recent rollover strike is one many students are finding difficult to deal with. TVC News crew visited Ido, a popular students' area of the University of Abuja main campus. We were welcomed by almost lonely streets in this normal ever-busy area. The few students left in the vicinity are now preparing to leave, having had their hope dashed that they would resume soon. Philip Braimo, a 400-level theatre art student of the University of Abuja, had taken the bull by the horns. He has decided to improve in his skills in graphic design, as no one can actually tell when the strike will be called off. Just like Philip, Barnabas Abu, an Abuja-based student, has also decided to get a paying job, pending when government and ASUU decide to resolve their disagreements.
I've been part of this since my 100-level days, but I'm not really focused on it because my studies have taken 100% of my time, so I read more and to get more grades. But aside that, weekends I come here to join, then I learn those things. But in this period, it has been like a little bit intense because there is nothing I'm doing right now.
Like this year, latest September, so I can start my service. Then I already got someone that was ready to help me secure a good job with my certificate. So for me, the strike is really affecting me. Like, it's very bad. I feel very bad, the strike.
Daminola Adedeji has been in school since the first one-month strike was declared in February. But now, he no longer sees why he should continue staying back in school. He has resolved to go back to Ogun State to join his parents, pending when he is able to get something tangible to do.
I'm still around because I'm just trying to gather money for transport, because transport right now, because of fuel and all that, it's kind of a bit expensive. That's why I'm still chilling for now.
Like graduating this year, we felt like the way our VC is making things fast for us. We're already happy, we are leaving school, trying to make plans for our future. Now the strike is, trust me, it hurts me.
The National Association of Nigerian Students in February embarked on a nationwide protest to demand that ASUU and the federal government reach a decision to allow students return to school. That did not make a difference, as a week later, the Academic Staff Union extended its strike to the dismay of the students. The student body describes the action as an attack on the future of Nigerian students. The leadership of the students' body had met with the Minister of Education, but all efforts to meet with the Academic Staff Union of universities have proved abortive.
I called the president of ASUU, that the leadership of NAS want to meet with him. He quickly told me that he will get back to me. After 24 hours, I didn't see his call. I called, he didn't pick. I sent a message to him. He replied 5 minutes after that he will call me later. 4 days after I called, he didn't pick my call.
The students are giving ASUU and the federal government another opportunity to reach an agreement to allow students return to classroom, or else they will have students occupy major streets in the country on the 28th of March. But how many Nigerian students or parents are willing to allow their words take over the streets in a protest to demand that ASUU and federal government resolve their issues?
Good luck to those that are going. My prayers are with them. I pray nothing will happen to them, and I pray that when they go, they will come back safely and they will hear good news. But me as a person, I'm not going.
I don't think the strike has done anything good for us at all. No, the strike is just to make hell of a noise, just to waste our time. Some students even use the opportunity to vandalize.
Do you get
things and other things?
Beyond the effect the strike has had on students, businesses located around areas where the students reside have also witnessed a dip in patronage. Some of the businesses are now under lock and key, pending their customers' return.
It has been proven that students perform less in examinations after returning from a strike, as they tend to forget key points from lectures due to the long stay at home. ASUU and the federal government must consider reaching a lasting agreement for the good of the students who are set to be leaders of tomorrow. Helena Samede Ekins, TVC News, Abuja.
Back here in Lagos, hundreds of residents in Ogun, a riverine community in Nigeria's commercial capital, have benefited from a medical outreach organized by the International Visitor Leadership Program. It's a U.S. professional exchange initiative. Although the residents were all smiles as they received the free medical checkup and the drugs, they're asking that the government build and equip hospitals schools and provide other basic amenities for them. TVC News' Sarah Ayeku has more.
On board a 30-seater boat are alumni of the International Visitor Leadership Program, and they are on their way to Igbo-Ologun, a riverine community in Lagos. It takes about 15 to 17 minutes to get to Snake Island, also known as Igbo-Ologun, under Amu ward of the local government area of Lagos State. When the team arrived at the jetty, the people were already seated, waiting for the goodies the visitors had. Igbo-Ologun, a community of different tribes, culture, and religion. Today, it plays host to the United States Consulate, an alumni of the International Visitor Leadership Program, a U.S. Department of State professional exchange program.
The things the U.S. mission in Nigeria does is we have different exchange programs. And this program in particular is called the International Visitor Leadership Program. They go to the United States for a professional exchange program. While they're there, they're paired with mentors, they go to different institutions, they gain new skills, new resources, and then we ask them, you can't just come back to Nigeria and just go on with your life. Now you have to give back to your community.
We believe that grassroots development is very crucial to nation building. That is why we take one community at a time. Through the help of the United States government, we are here today, to sensitize them on health issues and do free medical tests and give them drugs. And also we brought, clothes, food items and toys for the children to make it memorable.
It is said that the population here keeps growing. According to locals, there are about 500,000 persons, an overwhelming number for the visiting health staff and caregivers.
The health center we have is functioning, but cannot really cope. When you see the population you have seen today, it cannot really cope with that population. And for this kind of group to remember that there are people living out there is very wonderful.
Snake Island has been in existence for decades, yet it lacks basic social amenities like schools, good roads, hospitals, and potable water.
That was brought down today was the first program that I would say we really appreciate, because we need a lot of development in this community, but the government are not coming with a lot of development. But this one that they brought now is an evidence that we are going to see more of it. Certain year, if the NGO can even help us to come and bring doctors down here, we really appreciate it.
U.S. Mission in Nigeria supports a variety of action programs such as this, and it focuses on promoting and strengthening the economy of the country. Sarah Ayeku, TVC News, Lagos.
Let's go back to our earlier report now, where we can now bring in the senator representing Edo South Senatorial District, Senator Matthew Urokide. Thank you for joining TVC News at this time. All right, so now that the Federal High Court in Abia State has ruled that Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act is unconstitutional, and the Senate, which you belong to, has already turned down the president's request on this issue, what happens now?
Well, first, let me thank you for inviting me. The point is this: making law for the good governance of our country, has its own procedure, and the laid down procedure is that the legislature that is charged with the responsibility of making laws of the good governance of our land or in our country, has made a law, my electoral law, and that law has passed as a bill, was sent to the president for assent, and the president assented to it. After assent, it only means now it becomes a valid act of the National Assembly, and bringing it back for a recommitter to say a subsection of that law, of that is, clause 84, subsection, 12, was defective, and the National Assembly, just like any other law that was passed, could have been sent back to the National Assembly, for an amendment. Of course, it was sent back to the National Assembly, it came back to the Senate, and the Senate did not see any virtue, in the amendment, and therefore, said that subsection 12 should remain. If that one is done, it only means that the process of making law passed by the legislative and government and assented to by Mr. President, that law process, the lawmaking process, has been completed. To subject a law now to the winds and caprices of the of the judiciary for them to say whether it is valid or it's not valid. Yes, in as much as the judiciary has to give explanation or interpretation to our laws that are made, it is not enough to say that a portion of that law, that whole section and subsection, that subsection should be expunged. I don't know. I believe it's actually outside the purview of the judicial arm of government.
And we've seen AGF Malami's, apologies for interruption, but we're running out of time. I want to get your reaction on yet another question, because AGF Malami, senior advocate of Nigeria, has about less than 24 hours after that ruling said that that portion will be expunged, and he has already detailed the printers of the federal government to do the needful. So what are the options left now for the legislature?
Well, for me, I don't know if it's going to be a bad precedent, but I guess it's going to be one. And what the AGF has done, really, it only means that it is putting in danger all existing acts of the National Assembly. The one that does not fit, suit the executive, their liberty to go to court and get that law, vacated or expunged, from our statutes. If this one is allowed to stand, that only means that even laws that already enacted by the National Assembly could equally be subjected to the same procedure. And it will be very unfortunate. I listened to, and I of course read in the papers, when the AGM said that they were going to gazette the law, the electoral law. And gazetting it means they're going to expunge Section 8412. And if that one is allowed for a law that has been passed by the National Assembly as a bill, assented to by the Mr. President, became an act, subject it again to another consideration by the judiciary, and then of course the Attorney General, of the Federation saying it's going to expunge it. It only means that all other laws that were passed by the National Assembly can be subject to the same, to the same procedure. Then in which case it's going to bring chaos.
Senator Matthew Urogide, we thank you very much for your contributions on TVC News.
Thank you very much.
And that's how we wrap up this edition of TVC News from all of us here. Thank you very much for watching. Up next.